Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to Vlogmas day 24. So that means whenever this is live, it is Christmas Eve. So happy Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas Eve to you. So we're going to finish today off strong. We're reading chapter 24 of Luke. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has come along on this journey. It's been a long journey. I've never done a full 25 days of Vlogmas. I've only ever committed to 8 but successfully did 6, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. Alright, so where we are at in Luke, just kind of give you like a little recap. So Jesus was born a very long time ago at this point. He's been going through his ministry. The Pharisees have been watching him from afar and seeing how persuasive he is to the people and how Jesus is gaining all of these followers. And the Pharisees are not liking it. It has been mentioned many times in the text that the Pharisees were afraid of the people. They want to get rid of Jesus because they were afraid of the people. So in our last chapter, the Pharisees arrested Jesus. They took him to Pilate and to Herod, and then back to Pilate because neither king could find a basis to do the death penalty for Jesus because he had done no wrong. But the people insisted that he be crucified. So much so they wanted to release a prisoner who was in there for murder and insurrection. I'm not really sure what that is. But yeah, they put him on the cross, crucified him, the veil torn in two. Jesus breathed his last breath. A man named Joseph from the government council, who did not agree with the decision to have him crucified, he came, asked for the body, and he prepared a tomb for him and had him laid in it. The women who had followed Jesus, they stood back and they just kind of watched everything, and they laid eyes on Jesus, his body in the tomb. Okay, it's very important coming up in this next chapter. So that's like the rewind and now the fast forward to get us to this very moment. So chapter 24, let's get started. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground. But the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was with you in Galilee. The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the 3rd day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all of these things to the 11 and to all of the others. So in this previous verse, it is mentioned the 11, and that is referring to the disciples. But wait, I thought there were 12 disciples. You're correct, there were 12 disciples. I am going to read Matthew chapter 27, starting at verse 3. And this is again NIV version. Because Luke does not say these things, but it is something that happened. So you have the 4 Gospels, and the 4 Gospels, I think of it as if 4 different people went to the same event, they are going to have different details that they remember whenever they are retelling the event. That is what I believe happened with the Gospels, and why some say one thing and some don't say it. But it is written in Matthew 27. We're going to start at verse 3. It says, "When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priest and the elders. 'I have sinned,' he said, 'for I have betrayed innocent blood.' 'What is that to us?' they replied. 'That's your responsibility.' So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and he hanged himself." So Judas was filled with so much regret that, Satan had entered his body and that he had basically given Jesus over to these men who were intending to harm him, have him killed, and he knew that he had done wrong. even though it was written in all the previous scriptures, it's been prophesied. But he knew that he did wrong. He felt great remorse. And it was so strong that he got rid of that money and went and he took his life. Verse 10. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. They did not believe the women because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away, wondering to himself what had happened. Now that same day, 2 of them were going out to a village called
Emmaus,
about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them, but they were kept from recognizing him. Isn't it cool how Jesus has been with these people all along, and he has the ability to keep them from recognizing and realizing things? I think that's so interesting. I think it's especially interesting right now because he's literally walking along the road with them, and they have been with Jesus, and they're like blinded. They have no idea that it's their friend. That is Jesus. Verse 17. What are you discussing together as you walk along? They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened here in these days? What things? He asked. About Jesus of Nazareth, they replied. He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the 3rd day since all of this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but they didn't find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus. Verse 25. He said to them, How foolish you are, and how slow to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory? And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going further. But they urged him strongly, Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over. So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us? Then they got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they had found the 11 and those with them, and assembled together. There they had found the 11 and those with them, assembled together, and saying, It is true, the Lord has risen and appeared to Simon. Then the 2 told what had happened on the way, and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. While they were still talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them, Peace be with you. Okay, I always thought this was a verse that was like, don't be afraid, peace be with you. But y'all, Jesus is peace. He is the King of peace, and he is with them. Peace be with you. All right, verse 37. They were startled and frightened, thinking they had saw a ghost. He said to them, Why are you troubled? And why do doubts rise in your minds? Look at my hands and my feet. It is I, myself. Touch me and see. A ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have. When he had said this, he showed them his hands and feet. And while they still did not believe it because of joy and amazement, he asked them, Do you have anything here to eat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish. He took it and ate it in their presence. When I read that, it's like everybody's standing around like, whoa! And he's just like, yeah, listen, y'all got any food? I'm hungry. Verse 44. He said to them, This is what I told you while I was still with you. Everything must be fulfilled that is written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms. Then he opened their minds so they could understand the scriptures. He told them, "This is what is written. The Messiah will suffer and rise from the dead on the third day, and repentance for the forgiveness of sins will be preached in his name to all the nations, beginning at Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things. I am going to send you what my Father has promised, but stay in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high." When he had led them out to the vicinity of Bethany, he lifted his hands and blessed them. While he was blessing them, he left them and was taken up into heaven. Then they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. And they stayed continually at the temple, praising God. And that is the end of chapter 24. That is also the end of the Gospel of Luke. I know Christmas is about the birth of Jesus, and Easter is where we talk more about like the resurrection and all that. But I think that it's awesome to be able to, at this time of year, the birth, read everything that Jesus did and why his birth was so significant. And then to also read that part about the crucifixion, him rising again, so that you're like, even more like, God didn't just send a baby. Like, the baby grew up and he did all of these things in his ministry, and he died and he rose again. Y'all, that is the true gift. At Christmas we celebrate the baby, but the big picture, that's like a bonus gift. That's like the extra gift. I will see you guys later. Bye.